when we have been discussing about Dhruva Maharaj's episode, we definitely learned a lot of lessons. So in this shloka, we will read the shloka translation and purport and churn some nectar. Vayatah कीर्तयत्प्रातः समवाये जन्मनां सायं च पुण्यश्लोकस्य ध्रुवस्य चरितं महत्. Translation and purport by Stephen Gravesy Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Translation. The great sage Maitreya recommended one should chant of the character and activities of Dhruva Maharaj both in the morning and in the evening with great attention and care in a society of Brahmanas or twice born persons. Purport. It is said that only in the association of devotees can one understand the importance of the character and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees. In this verse, it is especially recommended that Dhruva Maharaj's character be discussed in a society of the twice born, which refers to the qualified Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. One should especially seek the society of Brahmanas who are elevated to the position of Vaishnavas. Thus, discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the character and pastimes of devotees and the Lord, is very quickly effective. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been organized for this purpose. In every center of this society, not only in the morning, evening, or noon, but practically 24 hours a day, there is a continuous devotional service going on. Anyone who comes in contact with the society automatically becomes a devotee. We have actual experience that many karmis and others come to the society and find a very pleasing and peaceful atmosphere in the temples of ISKCON. In this verse, the word Vijnanam means of the twice born. Anyone can join the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and be initiated to be twice born. As recommended by Sanatana Goswami, by the process of initiation and authorized training, any man can become twice born. The first birth is made possible by the parents, and the second birth is made possible by the spiritual father and Vedic knowledge. Unless one is twice born, one cannot understand the transcendental characteristics of the Lord and his devotees. Study of the Vedas is therefore forbidden for Shudras. Simply by academic qualifications, the Shudra cannot understand the transcendental science. At the present moment, throughout the entire world, the educational system is then geared to produce Shudras. A big technologist is no more than a big Shudra. Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. In the age of Kali, everyone is a Shudra. Because the whole population of the world consists only of Shudras, there is a decline of spiritual knowledge and people are unhappy. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started especially to create qualified Brahmanas to broadcast spiritual knowledge all over the world. For thus, people may become very happy. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasavi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, Text 48. Prayatah Kirtayat Pratah Samvaye Trijanmanam Sayam Cha Punya Shlokasya Guruvasya Charitam Mahat. The great sage Maitreya recommended one should chant of the character and activities of Guru Maharaj both in the morning and in the evening with great attention and care in a society of Brahmanas or other twice born persons. Srila Prabhupada, before starting ISKCON, he used to run his business. So he had a very successful business, and he used to be residing in a place in Calcutta called Sita Kanta Banerjee Lane. So as a part of his, stay in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada had been busy with his agenda of doing pharmaceutical work as well as little sadhana. So, as a part of this whole being engaged in the worldly activities, all the God brothers of Srila Prabhupada have taught Bhaktivedanta Swami. Yeah, that time he's called Abhay Charana Das. They consider him as somebody who is not so spiritually advanced, and they used to wonder why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj is giving importance. So, later stage Gaudiya Math had got some problems or what we call as challenges, and as a part of the challenges, so many people left Gaudiya Math, so many people had so many disdays and different emotional outbursts amongst them. So Srila Prabhupada witnessed all of them. When Srila Prabhupada witnessed all of them, he still remembered, because Srila Prabhupada later recollected, he still remembered the instruction that he received from his spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So when one of his friends, Dol Govinda Shastri, he used to teach Sanskrit when Srila Prabhupada used to be out from his house for his work. So Dol Govinda Shastri used to conduct Sanskrit class at Prabhupada's house. And as a part of the daily routine, Srila Prabhupada used to go out. They used to call him as Abhay Babu. So, he went every day. He used to go out and they used to conduct different classes in his house. So, Dol Govinda Shastri, one day when Srila Prabhupada came home, he asked Abhay Babu, I read that this Krishna consciousness process is going to be followed in countries like Russia, America, Africa. Do Do you think it is possible? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that this Krishna consciousness is going to be thriving and going to be very successful all over the world. Russians, Americans, Africans, they're all going to take part in the Harinam Sankirtan. Do you think it is possible? So, Abhay Babu, who is a friend of Dol Govinda Shastri, he was coming back from his work and Dol Govinda Shastri, who was teaching Sanskrit in his house, was going home. And Srila Prabhupada, in a very grave voice, asked Shastriji, said, Shastriji, do you doubt the words of Acharya? So, Dol Govinda Shastri said, no, it's not like that I'm doubting, but already we have so much of problem in Gaudiya Math and so much of difficulties by our Guru Maharaj to spread Krishna consciousness. How is it possible that even while we are not able to do it in India, how is it possible that we will be able to do it internationally? Hearing this, Srila Prabhupada walked upstairs without telling anything, and Dol Govinda Shastri, he confused the state, he was moving out. Then Abhay Babu, Srila Prabhupada stood for a minute and said, Shastriji, some fool surrendered to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will one day do it. And further, Srila Prabhupada walked upstairs and once again stopped and said, turned towards him, but that's not you. So, the whole Siddhanta of Krishna consciousness is present in this 2 minutes of conversation. I have shared this entire episode, what happened after that in this class before. This story has got further information. I guess most of you must have heard it, so I would like to ponder on this point on Srila Prabhupada's response. Some fool surrendered to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will one day do it. We said, but that's not you. So the whole message of Krishna consciousness, the whole heart of what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj wanted is what Srila Prabhupada has done. So this entire purport that we just read today, wherein Srila Prabhupada is encouraging as well as he is clarifying the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement and how if we don't take advantage of this movement, we will continue to remain very, very unhappy. So we are going to have 3 sets of reflections, and through that this particular shloka will be discussed. So the reflection number 1 is what I just narrated about Srila Prabhupada's response to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's disciple, his own godbrother, Dol Govinda Shastri. That is our Siddhanta. Here, Srila Prabhupada explains the purport. We have actual experience that many karmis and others come to the society and find a very pleasing and peaceful atmosphere in the temples of ISKCON. And when he explains that our ISKCON's purpose is to gather Brahmanas, have a discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, elevate our consciousness, and safeguard from the evil effects of Kali Yuga. This is the desire of all our acharyas, and especially our recent acharya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Prabhupada made it. The reason this story, this purport of this sloka are relevant is the achievement, the accomplishment of a sadhaka to the spiritual abode is the success of the parampara. I repeat, the achievement and the accomplishment of a sadhaka, the achievement and accomplishment of the sadhaka to make it to the spiritual abode. Here, Dhruva Maharaj, because of his following the advice of Sri Narada Muni, he made it to the spiritual abode. Srila Prabhupada, just because of sticking on to the advice and suggestions and instructions of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he has established ISKCON, which is in itself the desire of acharyas, where we can win more and more souls to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, as well as whoever is going to be part of this initiative, they are going to be part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's manifested and aprakat Leela in spreading the holy name. And hence, this celebration, this thought of how Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON, in which the desires of acharyas are implemented, is a sense of accomplishment of the entire parampara. And Srila Prabhupada also says that anyone who follows my instruction, who stick on to the advice that's given by me through my books, even if one person out of all those who read my books transform his life, I will consider my mission successful. So the reflection here is that Dhruva Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and to an extent sadhakas like all of us, if we try to subscribe to a spiritual program which is enunciated by our parampara, and as a part of being part of the spiritual activities, we transform ourselves and we transform the lives of people with whom we come in contact with, then we can consider our mission successful. Up till Srila Prabhupada, we know the mission is successful because of the result. But with respect to us, if our mission is successful or failure is fully in our hands in the way we conduct ourselves. So the first reflection is about the process by which we can get the desired success, as Srila Prabhupada got, as Dhruva Maharaj got, as so many other members of our disciplic succession got. So the formula is, some fool surrendered to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will one day do it. So every word in this statement is a formula, is a part of the formula. What is the first principle of this formula? Considering oneself to be a fool. It is not that we assume or we try to just say that I'm fool, but we need to understand that without the mercy of parampara, without the mercy of acharyas, we remain fool in this material world. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, when he encouraged all of his disciples to take up Krishna consciousness and institutionalize and spread it all over the world, only Bhakti Vinod Swami Prabhupada took it up and did it. Rest all the others, they either not tried or they didn't try it correctly. So the message here is we have to first accept, realize, and also we need to reflect upon to say that how foolish are we without this great, wonderful Vaishnava Acharyas in our life. If we realize our foolishness and we also accept the authority of the parampara, then the natural next step is surrender. So some fools surrendered. As a fool, I surrender to the parampara. Mukam karoti vachalam, sangum langayate girim, yat kripatamaham mande, Shri Gurum Jinatarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. What is the message? I am foolish, I am lame, I am deaf, I am dumb. But at the same time, if I have a bona fide spiritual authority, if I surrender to the bona fide spiritual authority, then what happens? Even as a lame man, I'll be able to climb a mountain. As a deaf man, I will be able to hear a wonderful message. As a dumb man, I'll be able to glorify. So, some fools surrendered. So, surrendering to this process, Srila Prabhupada explains the transfer happens only when we are hearing with great attention and care. Look at the translation he gave. With great attention and care. If we associate with Brahmanas who have raised their level of consciousness to the level of Vaishnavas, as we write in the purport, if we surrender unto them, what happens? Some fool surrendered. And he specifically saying to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, to the parampara, bona fide parampara, what will happen is Sangum Nangayate Giris. He can kind of do something that is almost impossible. Sumati Moraji challenged Prabhupada. Narada Muni challenged Guru Maharaj. Many people thought Mridari will never change. You and me would have never thought that I will be sitting and speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. Look at my own consciousness and upbringing and various things. Am I eligible to speak Srimad Bhagavatam? Definitely not. But we are currently hearing, participating in Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. How is this possible? So the second part of the formula is surrender. First part of the formula is consider ourselves foolish. Second part of the formula is consider ourselves surrender. The third part of the formula is will one day do it. In 6 principles of Sranagati, one of the principles is called Rakshishyadi Vishwaso. Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Pratikulyasya Varjanam, Rakshishyadi Vishwaso. Have utmost confidence and faith that I will be protected. So when Prabhupada said this to Abdul Govinda Shastri, that will one day do it. He did not say may do it, shall do it. It was very definite. And when Abhay Babu, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said that, he didn't have an iota of doubt in the words of the Acharyas. Maybe he wouldn't do it, I wouldn't do it, nobody will do it, but somebody who surrendered to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will do it, can do it, also he didn't say that. Because the power of the blessings of bona fide spiritual authority is such that impossible things becomes possible. So the third part of the formula is to have utmost faith, utmost confidence, utmost conviction that things will happen if we follow the process. And the last part of the formula is, but that's not you. And the you here is not singular you. The you is plural. Anyone who doubts the words of Acharya, anyone who has any iota of feeling that this is an exaggeration will not able to make it. So the first reflection that I want to say here is that it is a great celebration, it is great achievement, it is a great happy moment that Dhruva Maharaj made it to the spiritual abode. And Maitreya Rishi is saying that we should hear about this regularly. Why we should hear this regularly, and why we should hear it in the assembly of Brahmanas, so that we also get to hear the message. And what is the message? Some fool surrendered to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will one day do it. Apply this in this context. Dhruva Maharaj, who was foolish in his request, surrendered to Narada Muni, maybe with complete adamancy and arrogance, without realizing what he was asking. But he did have the right conviction, he did have the right surrender, and he did what Narada Muni recommended. And what happened? He made it the spiritual abode. And same thing, if we as individual sadhakas, if we surrender to this process without a doubt on the substance of this process, the direction of this process, then we will also definitely make it to Krishna. And just for the sake of those who have not heard this pastime, I'll just quickly state the remaining part of the pastime. After Srila Prabhupada said this, he went home. Dol Govinda Shastri, who was Prabhupada's godbrother, started to think and murmur. Abhay Babu is saying that what he's saying is making sense, but when he said about you, it sounded that he's referring to me, which is true the case, but he also sounded saying this may have a meaning that anyone who doubts Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj cannot do it, which means he's referring about himself that he can do it. He's running a business, he's running after money, he's running after profit. How could he do it? No. So he got completely confused. How in this world he could have done it? He's just a congregation devotee, not even fully committed to the mission of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He got mixed feelings. 15, 20, 30 years later, I don't know exact date, one day in Cuttack is a place in Orissa near Bhubaneswar. So one day when he was coming in a rickshaw, it's a three-wheel cycle, where he was a professor of Riksha College at the head of the department of Sanskrit department. He was one day going the road. He saw a very white-bodied, very hefty, white-bodied American, shaved head, kantimala, tilak, saffron cloth, so with chanting bag, Gaudiya Vaishnava tilak. So he couldn't believe his eyes. He stopped the vehicle on the middle of the road. He ran towards that person and said, "Hey, stop. Who are you? How come you have Gaudiya Vaishnava tilak? How come you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra? How come you have all these things?" So that person got completely confused. That somebody is coming in the middle of the road and stopping me and asking me so many questions. So he said that I am Bhagavan Das and I'm in the middle of on the way to an appointment. Here is our magazine. So please take this. This has got our address. Please come and meet me in a temple for discussing more. I'm going for an appointment. So those who with the Shastri picked up the magazine and that Bhagavan Prabhu has left already. First page, article says, "Yoga is not gymnastic by Bhakti Vinod Thakur." So those who with the Shastri got further curious. How come an American or a white-bodied person could know about Bhakti Vinod Thakur? So he once again ran back to him and said, "Hey, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who told you about Bhakti Vinod Thakur?" This time Bhagavan Das became more, you know, curious why somebody is stopping me like this and asking. So he, Govinda Shastri started asking him, "Who are you? Who's your spiritual master? How do you know Bhakti Vinod Thakur?" And he said that look at the last page of the magazine, we have our spiritual master's picture. So when we flip to the last page, they have Srila Prabhupada's picture. This is Adai Prabhu. When did he go to America? When did he start this Krishna consciousness movement? Then to disclose his identity, that I am the spiritual master's God brother. Then both of them in the middle of the road offered one set of the obeisances and tried to kind of exchange pleasantries and started talking. But he canceled his appointment knowing that the person standing in front of him is a spiritual god brother of Prabhupada. So they both went back to the temple to discuss Krishna Katha. So the point is that if we are surrendered to the parampara with utmost conviction that what they recommend, what they speak, what they direct will help us back home, back to Godhead. And if we don't doubt their direction, then we will be able to make it. So when Srila Prabhupada is writing here, and Maitreya Muni is recommending here, that one should chant Guru Maharaj and both in the morning and the evening. So this, if you kind of extrapolate, if you kind of extend it, that we discuss about Vaishnava Katha, Hari Katha, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, day in, day out. As Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport 24/7, if a person is getting engaged in glorifying Krishna's devotees, then his life will remain happy. Otherwise, he will be taken over by the evil effects of Kali Purusha. So the message here is that be in the association of devotees, discuss Krishna Katha, Matyutta Madhyada Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Katayantasya Mam Nityam Tushyantita Ramantita. A devotee finds utmost pleasing when he sits amongst his fellow devotees and discuss amongst themselves Krishna Katha. Tushyantita Ramantita. Ramantita means it's highly pleasing. Bodhayanta Parasparam. Paraspara means exchanges of thoughts and realizations. Matyutta Madhyada Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Katayantasya Mam Nityam. If somebody does it regularly, they will be getting eternal happiness. So my first reflection is that what Srila Prabhupada is encouraging us with to do with great attention and care is to somehow or other take advantage of Sadhu Sangha, take advantage of the Krishna consciousness movement, take advantage of this ISKCON, which is formed exclusively to glorify sadhus, exclusively to win more and more sadhus, exclusively to establish that how the Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam is the ultimate goal of all of Gaudiya Vaishnava. So, hence to do that, the formula is some full surrendered to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will one day do it. So we need to somehow or other surrender to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and his followers, Srila Prabhupada, and his followers, and the entire parampara for that matter, then we will also be able to make it to the spiritual abode, even though by our own qualification, we don't fit into any of those criteria. Now the second reflection, as Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, simply by academic qualifications, a Shudra cannot understand the transcendental science. At the present moment, throughout the entire world, the educational system is geared to produce Shudras. A big technologist is no more than a big Shudra. Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. In the age of Kali, everyone is a Shudra. So the point here is that how in Kali Yuga we are constantly perturbed and disturbed, and with that disturbance as well as the nature of this Kali Yuga does not directly support us anywhere to practice yoga processes, tapasya processes, any type of yogic processes that were followed in the previous yugas. So, prayena alpa ayusha sabya kalavasmin nipetana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrutaha. So, it is said that in Kali Yuga we are short-lived, we are lazy, we are misguided, we are unfortunate, and we are disturbed. I always say this as S, L, mud. S for short-lived, L for lazy, M for misguided, U for unfortunate, D for disturbed. So it's a kind of a mud. In Hindi we call it keychain. So this Kali Yuga is nothing but we are surrounded by fifth-class men, and our consciousness is also becoming like a fifth-class men, not even first class, not second class, not third class, not even fourth class. They have degraded our consciousness so low that we need to somehow or other somewhere realize this part and try to work to help ourselves out. Otherwise, we will continue to remain unhappy, as Srila Prabhupada writes. A very interesting, aspect. Somebody told me this few weeks, few months before, whatever. China built Great Wall of China by spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So the Chinese, whenever they made this Great Wall of China, they thought that by constructing this wall, they are very, very happy. They will be safe, secure from all the enemies because they now have a safety measure. So, after Great Wall of China got constructed, China was invaded 7 times. And every time an invasion happened, the enemies entered the country not by climbing the wall or breaking the wall. They just entered the country by bribing the security at the gate. Somebody made a very interesting point that whilst we spend so much of money in constructing walls and other safety mechanisms, we failed to invest in developing the character of the civilian, character of the city men, that people or enemies could easily pass through them. So in our own lives, Srila Prabhupada has well clarified that if you are giving utmost importance to bodily maintenance, utmost importance to various safety and security mechanisms, but does not give importance to cultivation of spiritual knowledge and spiritual culture, then what is the value? So Srila Prabhupada writes how this age of Kali is degraded, and this age of Kali, if we need to counteract, then we need to do something. If we are not careful enough, whatever little that we gained, whatever little that we have learned in our spirituality, that will also go away from us. So as a part of the second reflection, I would like to, share an algorithm, or can say a kind of a flow chart wherein it defines how when somebody is not careful of their spiritual symptoms degrading, they will go away, drift away from Krishna. Srila Prabhupada writes, a big technologist is no more than a big Shudra. This is a very significant statement, especially in the current context of 2019, where most of our devotees, most of us are completely bought over or carried away by technology revolution. Sometimes in the name of understanding, doubting the technology for Krishna's service, we get carried away by the evil effects of technology and become subservient to technology. So that is why of late there are a lot of spiritual masters. When their initiation time, they are, I'm not sure if it is real or a joke. They have added it as a fifth regulative principle. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no Facebook and social media. I mean, somewhere I jokingly saw that, but then it has got a subtle message that how we all are carried over, completely bought over by Kali Purusha. So Prabhupada right, the whole population of the world consists only of Shudras, and there is a decline of spiritual knowledge and people are unhappy. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started especially to create qualified Brahmanas to broadcast spiritual knowledge all over the world for the people may become very, very happy. So my second reflection is the slightly converse of this particular point that how when we are not careful, this Kali Purusha can enter our heart and completely destroy our hopes in Krishna consciousness. Hence, as a practitioner, we need to be very clear, convinced, and be cautious about our practices so that we can not slip away in the mainstream Krishna consciousness. So the flow chart goes like this. We are practicing Krishna consciousness, and you can refer shloka 4, shloka number 40 from Bhagavad Gita, 4.40 from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains to Arjuna how that the spiritual knowledge that we all are gaining from the Vedic scriptures, if somebody does not take advantage of the Vedic scriptures and doubt those Vedic scriptures, they will eventually fall down. He says that, but ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So the message here is that we as practitioners, devotees, as the Prabhupada written in the translation, if we are not giving great care and attention for the association of devotees and for the practicing of Krishna consciousness, then we will definitely fall down from our current position because of we being attached to technology, surrounded by fifth class men, and ourselves not being so seriously. So the drop down, the fall down of Krishna consciousness, fall down in Krishna consciousness happens this way. Number one step, or the very first step, is we have definitely any one of these three actions. Number one, aparad. Number two, doubt. Number three, somewhere or other, we tried to not do our basic sadhana in terms of chanting and following 4 regulative principles. If any one of these three is happening or the combination of these three happens, then our spiritual life is coming to a shaky ground. And as a part of that, there are 8 steps that happen one after the other, after the other, after the other. And at every step, we need to remember that if we don't fix our situation, then we will further go down. So this is a warning, or this is kind of a message for all the practitioners to be careful about this downfall of Krishna consciousness, about which Srila Prabhupada has warned. So aparad, or we consider as a faithlessness or doubt, ashraddha, and third is somewhere or other we don't follow our basic initiation vows. not following four regulated principles and not chanting our prescribed number of rounds. That's the beginning part of our falling down in Krishna consciousness. After that, the steps, the 8 steps are follows. Number one step is we lose taste in Krishna consciousness. Step two is that because of that, we seek materialistic sangha and start opening up, sharing our hearts with them, and try to consider them as our well-wishers and try to share everything within ourselves to them and giving importance to the association. And that leads to the third step, which is reducing sadhu sangha, wherein we say that the reason for our not taking up sadhu sangha is because we are busy with our work, we are busy with our friends, we are busy with our family, we are busy with our health, we are busy with so many other rationalizations, which is actually an anartha arise out of having a personal heart-to-heart relationship with a materialistic person. So this reduce the satsanga is a third stage, and when that happens, that's when the most critical aspect of fall down, wherein we criticize sincere people and we consider Guru and Krishna ordinary and we give utmost importance to ordinary people. So the point in stage 4 is we accept reality as illusion and we accept illusion as reality and we consider the great people as ordinary and we consider ordinary people as great. So this mismatch or this miscomparison is something which is very risky and that's a very important point for us to watch out for at stage 4. And if we are not careful at that point in time, then we will go further down at the stage 5. We will feel lazy about our devotional action and we will not be interested in taking up any devotional service. We will claim various reasons for us to not do the devotional service. At the end of the day, we are walking away from Krishna. And this stage will lead to the very next stage, which is increase the sense gratification, where we say that because I am not engaged, because I am having my quotient, so I need to have some activity for myself. So I give a justification why I can watch movies, why I can roam around, why I can do some nonsense, why I can do all those things. We may still know in the heart of heart what we are doing is kind of not correct, but by the time we come to this stage, we have only lost all the spiritual strength within ourselves, where we will increase our sense gratification for the sake of it. And that stage is already an acute stage of fall down. We go to a stage of impulsive thoughts to avoid devotee association. We see that a lot of practitioners, they have this impulsive thought of giving up Krishna consciousness because of whatever controversial stories that they would have heard, whatever controversial things that they would have experienced. So the point here is that this impulsive thought to give up Krishna consciousness, this impulsive thought to go away from Krishna consciousness is an acute sign of Kali Purusha's activity, Kali Purusha's impact on us. And finally, we don't come back to the spiritual authority or the spiritual program and stay away from devotees, which is spiritual suicide. So these 8 steps from losing taste in the chanting to the stage of the showing hostile, we just show back to Krishna consciousness agenda is a very important 8 steps for us to understand in our spiritual journey that I call it as a logical 8 stages of fall down in Krishna consciousness. This fall down in Krishna consciousness is something like how we have 9 stages of growing up in Krishna consciousness from sadhu shraddha to prema. Similarly, we should say aparadha to giving up Krishna consciousness or doubts to giving up Krishna consciousness. These 8 stages are also equally important for us to reflect upon, because in our practicing stages of Krishna consciousness, we may think that we are doing great, we may think that we are progressively marching, we may think that I am trying to accomplish something substantial, but actually we will be running in the opposite direction. So it is better to go slow in the right direction rather than going fast in the opposite direction. So hence my second reflection is what Srila Prabhupada has encouraged here, and how we should be careful with our association with Shudras and lower consciousness people, so that our spiritual life is intact. Otherwise, we will have to fall down in our spiritual life, which eventually we will not be able to come back to Krishna unless and otherwise we get some external help. So my second reflection is, with great care and attention, how we are encouraged with association of devotees, by which we will be able to accomplish the most impossible thing. Similarly, if we are not having great care and attention, even the most easiest process of all the 4 yugas will be very, very difficult for us, and eventually we will miss the train. The last and most important reflection, on which we will not be able to discuss elaborately, is about Srila Prabhupada's message to all his followers, wherein he said the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement is to create each and every one of us as Goswamis. So we are all expected to be a Goswami. We are expected to be one who can control the senses. For that, Srila Prabhupada gives a very fantastic explanation in the preface of Nectar of Instruction. I will read that portion and end this discussion. This is from preface of Nectar of Instruction, wherein Srila Prabhupada says, in all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, sattva guna, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami, and then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. And Prabhupada further writes, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. A follower of the Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. This is what Srila Prabhupada says. And further he writes, Vaishnava Goswami, in Vrindavana, this is a title by which the director of each temple is known. One who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Go means the senses and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. So the whole message, reflection over here is that while we are going to definitely get an advantage of raising our consciousness by applying the formula of surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master, and if we are very careful, we will save ourselves from fall down. We also need to understand the target set by our founder Acharya, where the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement is to become Goswami, and for that Srila Prabhupada says 3 things. Number 1, control your senses and mind, and we need number 2, that all the spiritual knowledge will be revealed to us, and when we apply the revelation in our daily practice, then we make an advancement in Krishna consciousness to an extent that we become Goswami. So these are the 3 steps of reflection where we understand what Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport about Guru Maharaj pastimes and Guru Maharaj going back home, back to Godhead. It's Maitreya Rishi is clarifying and actually sharing with all the devotees through the conversation with Vidura. So to summarize our conversation, we had 3 sets of reflections, and before we discussing the 3 sets of reflections, we discussed how Srila Prabhupada, understanding the mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, realizing the state of Gaudiya Math at that point in time, he was very contemplative, he was very determined, to make the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj a success. He was very, very meditative from 1922 till 1977, 55 years. Srila Prabhupada lived a dream of fulfilling the orders of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, but the way he went ahead in doing it is extremely scientific and is amazing, and what seemed to be impossible became easily possible. And this particular shloka is in the context where Maitreya Rishi glorifies Dhruva Maharaj's accomplishment, and he says that whoever hears about this accomplishment will definitely be able to achieve the same result. And similarly, what Dhruva Maharaj did is what Prabhupada did. What Srila Prabhupada did is also possible by each and every one of us if we also stick onto the same process. So as a part of this reflection, we had 3 points. Number one, first is a formula for us to do the impossible possible, which is some fool surrendered to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj will one day do it. The story of Prabhupada and Dol Govinda Shastri, as I said, wherein we defined the 4 parts of the formula. One is considering ourselves to be foolish. Number 2, surrendering to the parampara. Number 3, having confidence and convinced that the instructions given by the acharyas are summum and bonum, which Krishna wants us to follow. And last but not least, we never doubt, never feel, never think that shastras are exaggerations. Second reflection that we had is about fall down in Krishna consciousness and the effects of Kali Purusha upon a weak soul. We discussed how aparadha or how doubts and how if basics of Krishna consciousness, the sinful activities that we do. So papa, aparadha, and if somebody has got disrespect or somebody does not subscribe, if somebody does not believe, somebody does not follow, somebody does not apply, so what happens and how they fall down. And we discussed 8 steps. Number 1, they lose interest in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because of which they will still be doing but not having interest in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That leads them to take extra association, more association with materialists and have a heart-to-heart relationship with them, thinking that they are their well-wishers, which will lead to a 3rd stage where we will reduce sadhu sangha, we'll give a rationalization to say how I can and why I can reduce sadhu sangha, and eventually come to the stage of criticizing sincere people and finding fault in them and appreciating materialistic people and finding good things in them, considering illusion as reality and reality as illusion, and great people as an ordinary people and ordinary people as great people, which leads them to feeling lazy about devotional action, and which eventually leads them to insignificant gratification, which leads them to having implied thought to avoid devotee sangha, or impulsive thought to avoid devotee sangha, and finally they are in a stage where we do not want to come back. So these 8 stages which I spoke about is to explain that how when we doubt, when we do not subscribe, and when we are surrounded by Kali Purusha or Shudras, first class men, our life will become unhappy. So hence we need to do it with great attention and care. And last part is about Srila Prabhupada's glorification of this Krishna consciousness movement, and the purpose is to make all of us Goswamis, for which he has mentioned we need to first control our mind and senses, then the spiritual knowledge will be revealed. When the spiritual knowledge is revealed, and if we apply those knowledge in our daily life, our attitude will change to eventually become Goswamis. So we are very much indebted to Srila Prabhupada, indebted to this parampara, and within our own life, we can see a result, we can see a change in our actions and behaviors if we stick on to these instructions very carefully. Thank you so much. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatham ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisance. Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj. I wanted to find out when, like you just said, if somebody is surrounded by the Kali Purus, so then how somebody can be helped? Could you please explain or show some way to help? Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
I'm not sure if I fully heard. Your voice was kind of wobbly. So is that question is that when we are surrounded by fifth class men, how can we protect our Krishna consciousness? Is that the question? Can somebody repeat the question, or maybe Mataji can repeat the question? I mean, what I heard is that if we are surrounded by Shudras or fifth class men, how do we protect our Krishna consciousness, or how do we handle ourselves? Is that the question, or anything else? Maybe missing a point here. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah. So, have I understood your question correctly?
I wanted to find out if somebody is, has to get the initiation and then doing good, but then somehow the association changed and then become left completely. So how to bring the person back to Krishna consciousness? How to help him?
Okay. How to bring the person who has left Krishna consciousness, how to bring them back? That's the question. Okay. Wow. Okay. So, Srila Prabhupada often used to repeat this very important, sensitive message that to make a devotee, he has shed 1 gallon of blood. So in one place, Prabhupada said that to make one devotee have shed 1 gallon of blood. So which means every single devotee whom we win, whom we bring in the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, so it is all happening because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So he was very, very particular not to lose devotees and somehow or other try to retain them with us. I'll tell you one interesting story in Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj's time. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, I think I've shared this before, was once invited to perform a inauguration, DP or temple inauguration program. And when he came to the temple a couple of days before, he was inquiring about the residents in the temple, and everybody introduced each of them, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj asked that where is so-and-so devotee? So everybody started accusing and abusing and telling that this devotee is that, devotee is this, devotee is that. So many things people have, started complaining in. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj asked that, is it that this devotee has not done any one good thing for the movement? So then some devotee said that no, he has got very good ability to sing very nice kirtan. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said that why nobody has appreciated that. Then he said that it is important that we need to know how to handle devotees. So he gave an ultimatum that unless you bring the devotee back, I am not going to perform the installation ceremony or the inauguration of the temple. So everybody went all over the place and tried to find out where the person was. They were breaking the head where he could be. Finally, they found him in a watch repairing shop. And when they went and said, Guru Maharaj wants you to come back, he started crying. And he was already sitting there and crying while he was doing his job. So that time he said that actually I realized my mistake. I wanted to somehow or other come back and serve and be with you all. But somehow I was feeling ashamed of my mistake. So I was wondering what is going to happen. Somehow you guys came to rescue me. Thank you so much. He felt so indebted. So he came back and started, resuming his service. So one of the ways by which we can definitely bring back a person who left Krishna consciousness is to be more compassionate on him and be ready to forgive, because forgiveness is a very important quality, because by we holding any grudge against somebody is neither good for that person, not good for ourselves. So one of the ways by which we can definitely win back people who left completely from us, if you analyze why they would have left us, we are also partially responsible, because the way we would have dealt with him, the way as a movement we would have, handled him, and also naturally his association of the worldly things. So rather than being angry or upset with him, let us be understanding about the nature of this material world. As Prabhupada says, hate the sin and not the sinner. So we try to show compassion and forgive and bring him back. And number two, that we always hear is that how we can try to offer, if somebody is not able to accept still devotees, by offering some prasadam as well as some kind, loving care. May not necessarily be about Krishna, about Bhagavatam, about things. At least let us express a very good gesture of indebtedness. Appreciate all that person has done for Srila Prabhupada's movement. Sometimes showing our gratefulness, showing our indebtedness, showing our thankfulness to that person, we will be able to win their confidence in the process, if not the movement. And the most and last point that I would always do is that somehow or other we bestow special benediction upon them by passing on some Krishna Prasadam, by passing on, making prayers for them. Somehow we need to bestow, because Kali has occupied somebody's heart. Kali can be very easily whipped away when we bring in holy name. So somehow or other, encourage them to come closer to holy name, either directly or through prasadam and through some inducing of spiritual consciousness in the environment. At least encourage to stop doing sinful activities, by which we will be able to, kill the Kali within somebody's heart. It is a very tough exercise, and sometimes if somebody's fundamental faith have been shaken, to restore them is an extremely, extremely difficult task. But then it's our responsibility to behave in a very responsible manner, so that such, people who have left Krishna consciousness can as well gain back. A lot of people came back to Krishna consciousness because they couldn't forget Prabhupada. Because once a devotee, he will always be a devotee, so long as Krishna doesn't want to relinquish his control on him. So if you have taken up Krishna consciousness sincerely, then Krishna definitely does not want to give up the chance, give up the hope. So we keep trying. So from our perspective, we need to look at our behavior, our character, rather than keep snubbing somebody else off things that he has left us. So we should keep trying, and that will bring in a smile in the face of the Supreme Lord as well as Srila Prabhupada. Am I making some sense?
Jai Ho, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Kamadin Mataji, did I make some sense to your question? Did I respond to you what you asked me for?
I was on mute, and then I was speaking. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. That's what I'm trying to do. But I didn't know if I was doing okay. I was doing right, because that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Krishna will give you a special hug.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. This is Kamalaki Dasi in Baltimore. Hare Krishna.
Yes, I could. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments?
So please come again to Baltimore sometime. Hare Krishna.
I don't. Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful
Yes,
class.
Prabhu.
I had one question, Prabhu. I understood the essence this way. One of the essence this way about this particular verse when the verse is referring to hearing through pastime during the morning and evening like that. The essence I understood was about one of the essence was like being in association of devotees and hearing the pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. Like that, I understood from your class also one of the aspect. But it's good to hear from devotees instead of just reading Srimad Bhagavatam. There is an appreciation I'm getting also. But the question I have is, when we read like this, it seems like when we read Bhagavatam, it is not meaning literally the same thing that is saying like that. It feels like meaning literally it's saying read in the morning, read in the evening, through past tense specifically. How do we understand it properly, Prabhu? Yeah, without making offense to Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah.
Sure. So basically, when I was giving my reflection in terms of reading Srimad Bhagavatam or chanting Guru Ashtakam in the morning or evening, so when I was trying to explain this particular shloka with my understanding of the first reflection that I was talking about, where I was explaining the story of Srila Prabhupada and his god brother. So the whole message I was trying to say is that we as practitioners, our hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam in assembly of devotees should actually mean that we apply them in our daily life and do some missionary activities. So what happens is that many times we have, as a practitioner, devotees are bookish and try to stick on to, oh, I read Srimad Bhagavatam. What service you do? So we have very limited answers back. Yes, reading Srimad Bhagavatam is in itself a service, great, glorious, appreciated. I will read a very interesting passage from the preface of Nectar of Devotion, where Srila Prabhupada explains a very fundamental part of Krishna consciousness. He explains something about cultivation. He says that if somebody is having a spiritual consciousness, so having just a spiritual consciousness is not good enough. We need to go further and cultivate that spiritual consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada was encouraging about application of what he hears. So when I was telling about hearing Krishna Katha and the association of devotees, what does it actually mean in our daily life? So if we just hear and we don't act on them, when you don't apply them, when you don't execute what you hear in your daily life, then just hearing doesn't make the loop complete. So hence, whenever we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, whenever we hear such stories, we should also see what is there for me so that I can apply in my life and make progress. So when you said about if I don't get to see that exact meaning, I get to see, if you have to see beyond, you have to see something, what is there for me in this message. Maitreya Rishi said something to Vidura. Maitreya Rishi is talking to all of us. But what is there for you to take home is something that we need to contemplate upon. Every time when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, put yourself as a student, put yourself as a recipient, and Yasudev, Sukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami, Maitreya Rishi, Srila Prabhupada is speaking to us. So Dhruva Maharaj's story to us in what context it fits in, what changes I need to bring in, is something that we need to constantly reflect upon. And when you read Srimad Bhagavatam in that frame of mind, you will be able to see a lot of lessons for you to learn. So that is why when we read, if we are not able to see the direct sense of what we speak or in the class. Sometimes when we look at from the perspective of lessons for you, applications for you, we will be able to churn more and more. And that too, when we are in the surroundings of self-realized soul, each of them would have had their own respective realization. With those realizations, the whole shloka and the meaning of the shloka will become much, much more, relevant and revealing. Making sense, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, yeah. Makes sense, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
So,
Yeah.
hence, our purpose of reading Srimad Bhagavatam is every time you read any shloka, you put yourself as a student, and the speaker is talking to you, and then see back what is there for me, what is there for me, what is there for me. Bottom line is, without application, Krishna consciousness is incomplete. So please apply is the message.
Got it, Prabhu. Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Any other
Hare
questions?
Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for wonderful class, Prabhu. Just a follow-up question for previous question, Prabhuji. When we hear Bhagavatam from senior devotees, we get that nectar. But when I read myself Bhagavatam, just I read like a verse, but I don't, because of my ignorance and I don't have such knowledge to understand. When I read it, it will be like normal, Prabhuji. But I cannot release that. When I hear from my senior devotees, I get that relation and I'll enjoy a lot hearing Bhagavatam. But you got my question now, Prabhuji.
I got your question, so you have a solution also. So if you're getting pleasure and enjoyment and more insight when you hear senior devotees, so keep hearing. We have plenty of lectures recorded of Srila Prabhupada and so many self-realized souls. So now real use of technology is put them in practice. If you can associate personally with them, great. Otherwise, log on to the recordings of various self-realized souls, hear from them, read that verse, hear that lecture, reflect upon them. If you keep doing it, one fine day you will find yourself also transforming. There is an Alvar in South Indian Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. He used to, very interestingly, in a humble tone, used to write a song called Poyen, Poyen, Endru Solli Meyyen Agi Vandene. He said that I was thinking and claiming and telling everybody that I'm a devotee, I'm a devotee, I'm a devotee. It was not the case. I was not a devotee, but still I was going on telling I was a devotee. But one fine day, I saw myself devotee because just by staying in the association of few other devotees, even though I don't have any qualifications, I became a devotee. So if you know that you got real inclination in hearing and enjoying from hearing self-realized soul, please do hear. I will just read a small passage from Nectar of Devotion, which I was referring to that Prabhu, which is also incidentally an answer to your question. This is from Nectar of Devotion Introduction. Srila Prabhupada writes, this devotional service is a sort of cultivation. It is not simply inaction for people who like to be inactive or devote their time to silent meditation. There are many different methods for people who want this. The cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Srila Rupa Goswami in this connection is anusilana, or cultivation by following the predecessor teachers. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. All activities may be divided into two classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal, another may be for avoiding some unfavorable circumstance. So Prabhupada very clearly says association with predecessors and cultivating our Krishna consciousness is anusilana, following in their footsteps. So when you say that we get enough nourishment when you hear from self-realized souls, please hear. We have plenty of lectures recorded. But then where it should lead to, it leads to two things. One is achieving a certain goal. Second is getting rid of some unfavorable situation. These both need to happen. If these two are not happen, it means cultivation is not happening. So cultivation, movement, these are all important words. Krishna consciousness movement is not Krishna consciousness standstill. Something need to move. What need to move? Our consciousness need to move. However, consciousness will move only when we do activity. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you for the wonderful session today, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Any more questions for Prabhuji at this point? If nobody has any more questions, we would like to end the call here. So again, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful session. And then we are very, very grateful to you. And really look forward to having your association again in future. Vancha Kalptarupyascha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Ramgiridhari Prabhuji ki jai.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Thank you, Prabhu.